Way back Thursday night, the Detroit Lions 34, Green Bay Packers 31. Lions moved to 12-1, and Packers fell to 9-4.
Yep.
Did I say it right, Lions?
Who knows?
Field goal as time expired for the Lions, and coming out of that, as always, the Dan Campbell fourth down decisions under the microscope. They were aggressive, as they usually are.
What do you go for, 5 of them in the game? 5 fourth downs?
Yeah, 2 resulted in touchdowns.
Right.
So 2 actual touchdowns.
4 and 1 overall and conversions, 2 of which were touchdowns, 1 of which ended the game.
And the one, the debate at the very end of the game was, do we kick the 4th and inches field goal to win the game? And mostly they're probably going to win. But it would have left the Packers with no timeouts and probably about 30 seconds on the clock to try to get into field goal range to tie it again. And the Lions said, forget it, we're going for it. They convert. Jared Goff almost trips. They convert the first down and kick the walk-off field goal to get the win.
You see people that were like, people that clearly don't know the rules, that were trying to claim that it should have been play over. His knee's down, like it was college.
I did see that. He is not down. He is not down by contact.
He's not.
So Goff, did he get? I assume he got tripped. He was making fun of himself after. He usually gets stepped on when that happens. I didn't watch it closely. But his knee hits the ground. He gets the outside zone handoff, which is a great recovery by Goff. We saw that with Geno Smith a couple weeks ago, like those key fourth downs. Everything's a little tighter, gets stepped on, and it screws up the play. But Goff
really good job to get it back. I mean,
it's Goff's MVP moment.
Yes,
saving the handoff.
Your knee is down. You have fallen over, and you still managed to get the handoff back and get it away. That's a pretty good job. There were 43 seconds left on that 4th and 1 play, so Green Bay would have had time. Like this was not 16 seconds, or even 16 seconds. You have time to get the field goal. Like you were giving them enough time to have a shot at winning this. And we talked about it in our instant reaction show. Number one, Dan Campbell is more aggressive than the analytics. Like this is one of the rare instances where certainly Amazon's live analytics, I think you were saying ESPN's too, they were all saying kick it. They were not saying this is, it's really close, maybe go. Like the Joe Buck, of course, the analytics say go for it. The analytics here were saying kick the damn field goal.
Yeah.
And Dan Campbell said, nope, we're going for it. We want the time off the clock in addition to the field goal. And so Dan Campbell is more aggressive than the analytics as a general baseline. It's not just he's going for it every time the numbers say. He's going for it sometimes on top of that. And so that's one interesting element of this. The other is when you listen to him explain it out afterwards, right? Everyone always talks about, well, the analytics say go, but the things that the coaches know, right? My left guard's getting his ass kicked. It's windy. It's slippy, whatever. All the pieces of information that are in the head coach's head. Everyone always paints a picture where they work against the aggressive call to go for it, right? This is an instance where the extra stuff that Dan Campbell was thinking about painted the picture of being more aggressive than the data, right? The data says kick. Dan Campbell says 13 defensive players are on IR. More have left during this game. I am running around with nobody out there on defense. I want the game decided with my offense, which has an all-pro offensive line, a quarterback working on an MVP case, Sonic and Knuckles in the backfield, Amon-Ra St. Brown out there, Jameson. I want those guys deciding the game, not the defensive players' mash unit I've got out here. And honestly, when you think about it, it makes a ton of sense, right? I want the good side of the ball deciding the game, not the bad side of the ball, even though, it's one play versus 43 seconds or whatever. I think that's perfectly sound logic.
Well said, man. I mean, you look at who's left for the Lions.
Right.
Not only is it's all the mash unit that you said, 10 defensive linemen. Coming into the game, it was 9 defensive linemen out. Alim McNeil leaves twice during the game, ends up playing only 17 snaps. 10 defensive linemen. You start the season trying to have 7 or 8. Like, you want to have a 7 or 8 man
It's more than
rotation.
a full depth chart's worth of defensive linemen.
So, yeah, he wants the ball in the hands of the guys that you said, the offensive players. No offense to Patrick O'Connor, Al-Qadim Mohammed, Trevor Nowaski, Jonah Williams, the defensive tackle, not the offensive tackle. Miles Adams. You heard of any of these guys? Again, no offense. But those are the guys that played really well for the Lions.
Right.
But Dan Campbell saying, let's win it with the offense. It was really actually an impressive job by the Lions defense. They end up giving up 31 points total, but that was 2 short fields. They got stopped on a 4th and 1. That was one of the 4th downs that came back to bite for a minute there. So the Packers scored a touchdown coming out of that and a touchdown coming out of a Jared Goff interception early in the second half. Lions were up in the first half. Packers come back. It was a very good, just back and forth game. And look, the Lions defense is the type of defense you're trotting out in the last week of the preseason for a bunch of them. There's some starters: Terry and Arnold, Jack Campbell, Kirby Joseph, Carlton Davis III, and Brian Branch. You got some starters there. Literally the rest of those guys may not have even been, forget backups. They weren't even with the team a few weeks ago.
Some of the most important players
Jamal
on defense.
Adams,
right.
Quan Alexander. These guys weren't even in the league a few weeks ago. So that's a big reason why Aaron Glenn, defensive coordinator, he had been a head coaching candidate over the last few years anyway, but he's doing a really good job getting the most out of that group.
Yeah, some of the most important players on that defense right now were not with the team when we started all this. I mean, Zadarius Smith right now is the source of pass rush primarily, and he was not there a few weeks ago. Like, they signed him to replace the Aiden Hutchinson loss. So, yeah, I think Glenn is getting a ton of credit, rightly so, because they are still doing a pretty good job, again, with this incredibly banged-up group. So, yeah, I think he's deserving the credit. Like, that group is playing significantly better than the output of talent that you think should be existing. So, I think it was an interesting game because at one point, Goff had made the mistake of the interception. They had failed on a 4th down, and suddenly people are taking victory laps over. You see, that's the play, right? The high leverage play. They're going to give you the opportunity. They fail on that one. Green Bay scores. All of a sudden, the aggression's coming back to bite. This is why they're not going to win a playoff game. This is why they're going to come up short of the championship game. And then, okay, we failed on 1. We also got the other 4. And including the one that iced the game and didn't give Green Bay a chance to actually come back and make it and get the win.
We'll get to the ridiculousness that's the Chiefs season in a couple hours here. But just imagine in the Super Bowl, Lions trying to get their first Super Bowl, the Chiefs, it's going to be some sort of crazy 4th down decision or whatever that, gives the Chiefs another Super Bowl. We'll see what happens. But no, it's been awesome. The aggressiveness of Dan Campbell, I think most of it is very well analytically driven, but it's also the kind of the culture of the Lions right now. And it's like you live and die by this, by the aggressiveness. And by the way, he's not the only one who goes for it on 4th and 1 in his own territory at the 30-yard line. I thought the Packers hung tough. They matched a lot of the physicality of the Lions up front, held Jahmyr Gibbs in check other than a 20-yard run. Overall did pretty well in the run game. There's just too many answers for the Lions. I forget the exact stat, but 5 different players had 5 or more catches for the Lions. 5 different players had 5 or more catches. That's some sort of record or whatever. But Jameson Williams, Sam Laporte, that's good analysis.
Yeah.
And the great Tim Patrick with 2 touchdowns.
Yes.
How did the league let the Lions pick up Tim Patrick? But it was Jameson Williams, Sam Laporta, Tim Patrick, Amon-Ra St. Brown, and David Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs. 6 players with at least 5 catches in this game.
Yeah, I mean, this is why, their offense is so difficult to stop. They are too diverse. There's too many playmakers. Who do you clamp down on? Even if you clamp down on all of them, they're just going to bulldoze you because the offensive line is monstrous. Generally, Jared Goff has been making extremely good decisions. One bad mistake in there in this game. But, they're not giving you enough opportunities effectively. They're so difficult to stop on offense that it's enough to overcome the defense, which is weak in personnel, but not actually weak in what they're doing. I mean, look at the pressure they got. Green Bay has a really good offensive line, and with this kind of no-name defense, they were able to generate a ton of pressure consistently without any one guy rocking up with 10 pressures, right? Just everybody chipped in with pressure.
They were. It was when they sent extra rushers and everything, they were getting home, not getting home necessarily as far as sacks, but they were getting into pressure, Jordan Love's face. Jordan Love had a spectacular play under pressure. Those types of plays Packers needed. They created some big plays with Christian Watson down the field and everything. But look, Packers hung tough. Josh Jacobs, 3 rushing touchdowns.
Yep.
I thought it was a good showing by the Packers, but I think the Lions continue to show they might be in a class of their own in the NFC, along with the Eagles.
Yeah, I mean, when you think how banged up the Lions are on defense, and they still had too much for Green Bay. I mean, that's a pretty good endorsement of their overall strength.
All right, man. Anything else?
Nope.
Lions, Packers? All right, it's a good start.
Thanks for watching all the way to the end of our video.
For more great content, click here to subscribe and here to watch another video. We'll see you again soon.